Well, hello everybody. This is Garland and welcome back to Stepping Stones to Your Success, video number 2. Now, I got to tell you, we just got back from our trip to Hawaii. It was a wonderful trip, great recharge, and but it sure is good to be back home. And I remember on the plane ride back home, I'm thinking to myself, there's a lot that's got to go into this YouTube video channel stuff. And I'm thinking to myself, how in the world am I going to continue to share these stepping stones to your success while at the same time perfecting and developing my craft of putting out great videos to you folks? And I came up with a thing called bookending. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bookend this thing by opening up with a stepping stone to your success, then get into the content of the video itself, and then close out with another stepping stone to your success. And so I'm getting ready to say something profound here, so I want you to write this down and commit it to memory. So it's more of a headset than anything else. This headset is a tool that I've utilized over the years that really has helped me and many others to accomplish our dreams, goals, and aspirations in a very effective and efficient time frame. So the headset goes like this. Number one, if I'm going to play any game, then I'm going to play it all out. Number two, if I'm going to jump in, I'm going to jump in with both feet. Number three, if I'm going to compete, then by God, I'm going to compete to win. So that mindset and that headset is the thing that gives us a driving force. It gives us the energy, the focus, intensity to do whatever we got to do to make sure we're successful and that we win. So that is something that's worked well for me, and it might be something you want to consider adopting as well. And I got to tell you, it dovetails rather nicely into the content of the video today. As we look at this YouTube world-class studio that you and I are getting ready to build together, I quickly realized that there's so many things to consider. We got to consider the lighting. We got to consider the cameras. We got to consider the sound. We got to consider where exactly we're going to do this, what location we're using. We got to consider how we're going to set the studio up. So it was a lot of things that really kind of, oh my goodness, that's a bunch to it. And so knowing that, we realize and recognize I got to go get some stuff. That means we got to get the essentials that are necessary to set this studio up. And so Bridget and I got together and we started talking about it. And we did our due diligence, and we looked at the laws of three, which is in this case getting 3 quotes on everything. That's another stepping stone. We'll get to that later. But we were able to focus in on spending our money prudently and making sure that we're getting the best bang for our buck and getting the highest quality products that we need in order to build this world-class YouTube studio. So that's kind of the exciting part, and what kind of leads us into what we did. So we went off and we went shopping, and so we bought all the stuff we needed. So when we came back home from the trip, it was like Christmas in July. The house was full of boxes. So we are excited to open those boxes up and get this thing started. Matter of fact, what we're going to do is the next video, I'm going to be setting up and we're going to be breaking open those boxes, and I'm going to do a review on every single item that we bought. So you and I together are going to look at the good, the bad, and the ugly and make sure it does what we hoped it will do as it relates to setting up this world-class YouTube video studio. So with that said, I'm kind of excited about it as well because it brings us into our next stepping stone. The stepping stone for success on this one is, again, getting set ready to say something profound. Need you to write this down and commit it to memory. I need you to adopt the philosophy of being a student for life. I gotta tell you, I'm going to make reference to Grandmaster and Mrs. Buell a lot because they are 2 of the smartest people I've ever met, and they got tremendous amount of common sense at the same time. And one of the things that they taught me, they said, Garland, you got to be a student for life. You need to understand that the more you learn, the more you realize there's still so much out there yet to learn. So learning and knowledge is endless. But I need you to also make sure you maintain your humility, okay? Because the day you start thinking you know it all, sure enough, that's going to be the day you stop learning. Now, I've been taught that if you want to get a point across, you need to wrap a story around it. So let me tell you a story, a true story of what happened to me when I was less than humble. And I remember to this day, I was in the Navy, and I was stationed on a ship out of Pearl Harbor. And we had pulled in for the weekend, so I was headed to the gym to get a good solid workout in. And I'm thinking to myself, me and my blue belt, I'm getting pretty good at this martial arts stuff, and there ain't too many people that can whoop me. And so I get to the gym, and I start warming up, and this little old man comes up to me, and he says, "Oh, I see you're in the martial arts." And he says, I dabble with it a little bit. And then he looked at me and says, "I'm in the martial arts as well. Would you mind sparring with me, sir?" And I looked at him. He was a full head shorter than me. And I said, "Sure, I'll take it easy on you, old man." And then to my surprise, he looked at the guy right next to me. And he says, "Would you mind sparring with me as well?" And he looked at him and said, "Yeah, I'll spar with you." And then he looked at both of us. And he says, "Would you mind, both of you gentlemen, sparring me at the same time?" And we looked at each other in disbelief and said, "Sure, we'll do it." And I got to tell you, that old man beat the tar out of both of us at the same time. He mopped the floor with both of us. He cleaned our clock. He was so fast, I couldn't tell if he was hitting me with his hands or his feet. He'd hit me on this side, I'd see all black. He'd hit me upside the head. On this side, I'd see all white. And I got to tell you, it was not my finest hour. There's a saying in the martial arts, trauma teaches. On that day, folks, that was a very traumatic experience for me. Here I am, thinking I'm all that. 20 minutes later, I get knocked down a couple of notches by this little old man. My dad says it best. He says, one of the hardest things you're ever going to have to do, Garland, is get off your high horse gracefully. Well, I'm here to tell you, folks, on that day, I didn't have to get off my high horse. That old man kicked me off my high horse and taught me a lesson that I still carry with me to this day. It says, always maintain your humility, because the day you start thinking you know it all, that's the day you're going to stop learning. And that's the day that somebody might come out of the shadows and show you you're not as good as you think you are. Powerful lesson for me to learn. So that's why I so enjoy adopting this philosophy of being a student for life. Because that's where the joy at. That's where the good stuff is. There's a saying, when a tree stops growing, it starts to die. As long as we're learning, folks, we're growing. And that's why it's so exciting for me, because you and I, are going to develop and learn how to produce and create a world-class YouTube studio. Okay, it is going to be so exciting. Okay, so I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to this third video when we get to break out these boxes and open up all the Christmas gifts, and we get to set this studio up. And I'm looking forward to you doing it with me. So that's going to be something. So have a wonderful evening. Enjoy the rest of your night, and let's keep on learning. Have a great night. Talk to you soon.